Who fought in the Alamo and was born in Tennessee? Well, this man was legendary. So we're heading to Greene County, the place where he was born, to get a closer look at the life and times of Davy Crockett. So the ballad goes, born on a mountaintop in Tennessee, green estate in the land of the free, raised in the woods so he knew every tree, killed him a bear when he was only 3. Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier. The man was David Crockett, born in Greene County on August 17, 1786. Contrary to popular belief, he did not kill a bear when he was only 3. However, he did gain notoriety within his lifetime. He was a pioneer, patriot, soldier, trapper, explorer, state legislator, congressman, and was martyred at the Alamo. So his gravesite monument reads. But let's not jump too far ahead. Let's take a look at his life from the beginning. The Crockett family migrated to East Tennessee while it was still part of North Carolina.
We are at Davy Crockett Birthplace State Park in Limestone, Tennessee. He was born here and lived here till he was about 6 or 7 years old before his parents moved on to Morristown, where they opened the Crockett Tavern. In front of the cabin we have the Nolichucky River, and in the Cherokee language that means the river of death. We have a little waterfall on down the river here, and that is where one of Davy Crockett's brothers almost drowned.
The family moved several times, including to Cove Creek and to Jefferson County, and eventually moved to Knoxville when David was 8. Hired to drive cattle to Front Royal, Virginia when he was 12, he left his family to take the work. He then worked for farmers, Wagners, and a hat maker before taking a job driving cattle to Baltimore, where he lived till he was 15. He probably had family there, even though it can't be documented. When he returned home to Tennessee, he discovered his father was in debt to Daniel Kennedy, so he made a deal with his father's creditor to work off the debt for 1 year. David Crockett practiced shooting with his employer's rifle and became an excellent marksman. He started participating in local shooting contests and often won prizes, which at the time was a quarter of beef. You heard it right, a quarter of beef. In 1806, David married Mary Polly Finley. They moved to Lincoln County in the Duck and Elk River area near the head of Mulberry Fork. They lived there during the years of 1809 to 1810 and had 2 sons. In 1811, the Crockett family moved near Lynchburg, where they built a log home. When bear and other game became scarce for hunting, they moved to Franklin County and built a home on Beans Creek, which they called Kentuck. David Crockett fought under General Andrew Jackson in the Creek War between 1811 and 1813. His popularity first came from his reputation as a fighter and a frontiersman. He was charismatic and was a natural storyteller who enthralled his audiences. He served 2 terms in the Tennessee legislature and 3 terms in Congress. The autobiography, A Narrative of the Life of David Crockett, edited by Thomas Chilton, is probably the actual work of Crockett. His reputation for being a great bear hunter was emphasized. Other writings were actually penned by ghostwriters, which were then approved by Crockett. His role in the narrative actually furthered the myth that allowed Crockett to become a legend of the Old West.
A lot of people believe that Crockett wore a coonskin cap all his life, when in fact he did not wear a coonskin cap until he started on his trek from Tennessee to Texas, and it was given to him by supporters of his political opponents to pretty much lampoon and ridicule him. But being the major, powerful character that he was, he took the ridicule in stride, put the hat on, and with his followers left for Texas.
Crockett's involvement in the Alamo came when he set off for Texas to explore new opportunities. Initially, he had no intention of joining the fight for Texas independence. When he reached San Antonio, his plans changed. He saw all the possibilities it presented to him, including government service and a source for affluence, with all the new territory to settle. Crockett joined the Battle of the Alamo with Colonel William B. Travis, even though Sam Houston had given orders to withdraw from the Alamo. He saw the future of an independent Texas as his future. Reports told that Crockett died after he and 6 others were captured and then executed when the Mexican troops took the Alamo around 6 o'clock the morning of March 6, 1836. David Crockett, the historic figure who became known as Davy Crockett the legend, lived and died with much notoriety and a bigger-than-life reputation for his heroic feats. Kentucky is known for horses, so what better place than to find a park dedicated to everything about horses? Let's visit to see firsthand what's unique about this park. The Kentucky Horse Park is the one place for everything about horses. This 1,200-acre park has a museum, shows, burial sites of famous horses, and a hall of champions for retired thoroughbreds. You can see more breeds of horses here at the park than any other place in the world. When you enter the Kentucky Horse Park, one of the first things you'll notice is the sculpture of Man o' War. This famous thoroughbred is honored by a bronze sculpture and memorial at his gravesite. And he's buried next to his most famous son, Triple Crown winner, War Admiral. The International Museum of the Horse is the largest of its kind in the world. It traces the 55 million year history of the horse. There's a collection of 19th century horse-drawn carriages and a gallery displaying horses in competition at the Horse and Sport. And you can see the racing legacy of Lexington's most famous horse farm, Calumet, which includes 560 gold, silver, and crystal trophies. One of my favorite places in the park is the Hall of Champions. Here, thoroughbred legends reside and at regular times during the day come out to greet the public. Names such as Funny Side, Cigar, Kona Gold, and Western Dreamer will sound familiar if you are a horse racing fan. Western Dreamer was celebrating a birthday when we arrived. You can see these famous horses as well as others up close. Cindy Pullman tells us about the park.
The park was created for that very purpose, to give people a chance to come to the horse capital of the world, see horses, touch horses, learn about horses, and to celebrate the relationship between man and horse.
Horses that used to reside here include John Henry and Alysheba. There are interesting stories about famous horses, like the one about John Henry. At the memorial service for John Henry, one governor told the story of his unique arrival to Kentucky. The owners had explained John Henry's particular characteristics. They said to anticipate that he would stand for photos, but when John Henry had enough, he would turn his rear around to face the audience. Sure enough, when John Henry got off the plane in Lexington, he posed for photos. Then when he decided he was finished, he turned around and faced the opposite direction. That was John Henry. Only in Kentucky will you find stories like that, and an occasion for the governor to greet a horse flying into the state. The Kentucky Horse Park is a final resting place for many legendary horses. Grave sites are located throughout the park, and there are 2 prominent memorial sites, the Man o' War Memorial and the Walk of Champions Memorial. Some of the markers you'll see include War Hazard, Brush Up, and War Relic. Then there are the horses buried at Walnut Hall Stud Cemetery, including Princess Peg and Duchess Hanover. And at the Champions Cemetery, Brett Hanover, World War I, Promotion, and Princess Rooney. Perhaps the greatest American jockey of all time was Isaac Murphy. He is buried on the property near Man o' War and War Admiral. Murphy set a standard that no other jockey has met. He won more than 1/3 of all his mounts and won the Kentucky Derby 3 times. The land for the Kentucky Horse Park has a history all its own. Once named Caneland, from the abundance of cane found growing wild, it was the location of the first farm in Kentucky to establish a greenhouse. Dr. William Richardson was the first owner to actually raise thoroughbred horses on this land. The land passed hands many times. S.J. Slayers built a residence on the property in 1866 that is now used as offices for the park. John Creighton built a training track in 1897 that is still used today. Lamont Harkness purchased the farm in an auction and constructed one of the largest horse barns ever built, called the Big Barn. It is still at the park and is 476 feet long with 52 stalls and a sale area. In 1972, Mary Edwards owned the property and sold the land to the Commonwealth of Kentucky for $2.7 million. The land became the Kentucky Horse Park and opened to the public in 1978.
One of the visionaries who really was very responsible for the park coming into existence was a man named John Gaines, who was really prominent in the thoroughbred breeding and racing industry. I think it was his baby, and it was his dream, and he saw it through to completion.
There's nearly 80 horse shows a year at the park and more than 30 horse organizations at the National Horse Center. There is so much history at the Kentucky Horse Park that we've only been able to hit the highlights. There's no place in the world like the Kentucky Horse Park. Now you know where you can find it. For more information, visit our website at americastreasures.tv. We'll be back in a moment.